Hello and welcome. You're watching 84 TV Radio News Update, coming to you live from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Adirayo Senami. The Prime Minister of Australia, Scott Morrison, on Tuesday accepted the invitation extended by the United States President Donald Trump to attend the G7 nations meeting. Recall that President Trump last week said he will postpone the G7 summit meant to hold next month to expand the list of invitees to include Australia, Russia, South Korea, and India. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern of New Zealand on Tuesday said she's horrified by the death of George Floyd, the African-American who was killed by the police in the United States, and welcomed peaceful solidarity protests in her country. She, however, pointed out that protesters violated the coronavirus social distancing restrictions. Ardern said that as a nation, racism should be called out wherever it exists, but she also emphasized the risk of coronavirus infections when people gather around in groups. Meanwhile, Britain's members of parliament are to return to parliament on Tuesday as the virtual system introduced during the coronavirus lockdown ends. The top priority at plenary will be the government's plan to force those entering Britain from abroad to be subjected to a mandatory 14 days quarantine. Reports, however, say that MPs are looking to soften the approach following the criticism from business leaders, particularly in the aviation sector. And in Asia, Hu Weifeng, a urologist at the Wuhan Central Hospital, died on Friday after being hospitalized for more than 4 months due to COVID-19 complications. He is the sixth doctor from Wuhan Center Hospital to have died from the virus, which emerged in the central Chinese city late last year. Hu Weifeng works closely with coronavirus whistleblower Ling Weiliang. He is China's first COVID-19 fatality in recent weeks. And in Nigeria, medical doctors in Delta State have commenced a 2-day warning strike to protest the kidnap of Dr. Wisdom Iboye Tete, a principal medical officer at the General Hospital Joto, Delta State. The state chapter of the National Association of Government General Medical and Dental Practitioners has threatened to embark on an indefinite strike if the victim is not released by Thursday. The Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria has issued guidelines for private sector medical laboratories seeking to provide testing through private arrangements for COVID-19. The Registrar and Chief Executive Officer of the Council, Dr. Tosin Rabo, says the policy will guide the private sector to accelerate the availability of COVID-19 diagnostic testing for the duration of the public health emergency, adding that the document was developed in collaboration with the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, and the Federal Ministry of Health. Across the world, Tropical Storm Amanda has killed at least 20 people in Central America, most of them in El Salvador, as it swept across several countries, causing floods and landslides. Interior Minister Mario Duran in El Salvador told officials that 7,000 people have taken refuge in 154 shelters as torrential rain and strong winds destroyed hundreds of homes and damaged roads. A 15-day state of emergency has been declared to cope with the effects of Storm Amanda, which he estimates have caused $200 million in damages, adding that rescue efforts are underway. We'll take a short break now. When we return, 9-year-old Kenyan boy receives award for inventing hand-washing machine. Stay with us, details coming shortly.
The President, Muhammadu Buhari, has approved the establishment of the first set of 12 TED Fund Centers of Excellence, with 2 Centers of Excellence in each of the 6 geopolitical zones, hosted by first, second, and third generation universities in the first instance in the year 2020. Those of the state universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education will follow in subsequent years. The focus areas of the Centers of Excellence, in line with the contemporary practice in the more competitive economies and technologies, are mainly in science-based disciplines. The approval, which came upon recommendation of TED Fund Board of Trustees and endorsement of the Honorable Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, is to signify a major paradigm shift in favor of research and excellence in our universities, but also a demonstration that the federal government has decided to directly establish and fund centers of excellence besides the ones funded by the World Bank, being the African Centers of Excellence. Details of the operations and guidelines for the inaugural TED Fund Center of Excellence are to be issued by the fund. Signed, Buhari Mikailu, Director, Physical Infrastructure Development, for the Executive Secretary.
Welcome back. You're watching 84 TV Radio News Update, coming to you live from Abuja. The Chief Minister of Delhi in India, Arvind Kejriwal, on Tuesday launched a new app and a supporting website in New Delhi, India, that allows New Delhi residents to check the number of beds available in the city's hospitals. The Chief Minister said the innovation was created to solve complaints from residents who are unable to find bed spaces, often going from one hospital to the other. The app shows the availability of hospital beds and ventilators in each hospital, with an option that addresses the grievances of patients. A 9-year-old Kenyan boy identified as Stephen Wamokota is among this year's recipients of state commendations in Kenya for his invention of a hand-washing machine. Wamokota used wood to suspend a jerrycan of water and created a pedal to dispense water and soap to avoid contact. He is among 68 people who were recognized for supporting the country during the coronavirus pandemic. And back in Nigeria, the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR in Nigeria, on Monday announced the commencement of the 2020 marginal fields bid rounds, with an offer of 57 marginal oil fields to investors for licensing as part of efforts to develop oil and gas discoveries that had been left unattended for years. The DPR said the bid round is open to indigenous companies and investors interested in participating in the exploration and production business in Nigeria. And in sports, retired boxing champion Floyd Mayweather said he will pay for the funeral of George Floyd, who died last week in police custody. Mayweather Promotion CEO Leonard Elerby confirmed to newsmen that Floyd's family had accepted the Mayweather's offer to pay for the funeral services. And that's it on 84 TV Radio News Updates, coming to you live from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. You can join the conversation on our website at www.84tvradio.com. Please follow us on our social media platforms at 84 TV Radio on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn and Instagram. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel at 84 TV Radio. Many thanks for watching. I am Adirayo Senami.